Yo, what's up, guys? Nandra here. Welcome to part two of my review of Starforged Legends. So I'm still only on the initial cards because right now we're still in the first week. This is for September 8th, September 9th. So we still have quite a few cards to see. For the remainder of this video, though, I believe I'll only be touching 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7 or 8 more cards, maybe a little bit more. So let's go ahead and start off with Uriel. Alright, so this card, a lot of people are like really kind of hyped for. One, because she's a waifu. Two, because she continues the whole Gorgon storyline, because it seems that the Gorgon storyline is going to be a really big part of this expansion. Alright, so she's a silver 4-mana 2/3 that has both Bane and Ward. Those are already both powerful keywords, so naturally that explains why she's understated. And generally, when it comes to things that have Bane, you don't care about their attack. You only because whatever they trade into is going to die. What you care about is their behind, or what you care about is that HP stat. And she evolves into a 4/5. So that's actually very good. And if it was any higher, that would maybe be insane. So I do like this card a lot, just because it's a very good reactive card. And well, actually, let's go and talk about the rest of the fact first. Alright, so it has Fanfare. Give an allied Bloodcraft follower resistance to targeted enemy spells and effects. So that is kind of huge. I don't know how often it's going to go off, because I don't think she's a card for aggro blood, but I do think that she's a very good card in control. She might see playing aggro though, just because like aggro does really want proactive just because aggro does want some good like standalone 4-drops. Well, just blood in general, actually, just because like they did lose BKB in the current round of nerfs. But yeah, like I don't know how often the effect is going to come into play, but when you do get the effect off, it's going to feel very good, just because Bloodcraft as well as Dragoncraft tend to have a lot of really big HP statted followers, and if you can get this on a big enough butted dude and or grill, it'll be really good. It'll be really annoying for your opponent to deal with. So I'm pretty sure from the way that this card feels in conjunction with another card that I'll be talking about next, that it's probably meant for that card. But overall, the card is, I think, definitely a solid 3.5 to maybe 4 out of 5. Alright, so this is the follow-up card, Venom Fang Medusa. So it's a 4-mana 3/3. It's one of the 2 Bloodcraft legendaries, and the effect is Span First, summon a serpent. At the start of your turn, if at least 2 allied serpents are in play, 2 serpents combine to become Medusiana. And then it also has evolved summon a serpent with the same effect. Alright, so can I click on the Medusiana? I believe I can. But if I can't, the Medusiana is an 8-mana 1/8, or sorry, it's an 8-mana 1/7 that has Rush and Bane and can attack 3 times per turn. So that's already really insane. However, there's still the issue of if you have to get your serpents up in play. Where's the thing? Yeah. Alright, so serpent is basically just a 1/1 no effect. Well, that's Medusiana, but yeah. Yeah, so serpent it's just a 1/1 with no effect. So that's already kind of good. I like it because it's nice for aggro, because again, aggro kind of wants proactive 4-drops. Additionally, proactive 4-drops like that one that kind of like put tokens into play. However, I think a lot of people are just kind of tunneling on the effect. I don't think that the overall effect in and of itself is like amazing, just because you have to like factor in the fact that, well, 1, we're in Shadowverse. 2, the card itself only has 3 HP. And there are different ways to deal with the card. Like if I know for some reason I can't kill the card, I'm just gonna kill the tokens. If you don't have tokens, you can't make Medusiana. Like or I can just like should have just like directly, you know, kill the Medusa, and that's, you know, easy. However, putting tokens into play is a very, very strong mechanic, just because right now, as far as Shadowverse goes, the wider you can make your board, and the more often that you can do it, the more likely you are that you're gonna win, just because you get to like mow your opponent down. They're not gonna be able to do anything about it. So I do think the card will see play, although how long it sees play is another matter entirely. But I would definitely go ahead and rate that card at least a 3, at least from now, from what we've seen. It is worth noting though that generally, when we get token making, when we get cards that make tokens, and both the tokens as well as the card itself are both new, generally the tokens reflect the rarity of the card itself. However, the tokens from Medusa are actually both bronze. So there's a strong chance that we get other cards that can make serpents. Otherwise, this card would maybe be like a little bit too weak. So I'm looking forward to that, and obviously like the strength of those cards will probably determine how playable Venom Fang Medusa is. But overall, I'm actually looking forward to playing around with that card, just because like it does give another interesting option for control, and they can make Voltron control. If you don't know what Voltron is, basically it's a deck archetype of control, or well, it's just a deck archetype where you make one like really big ridiculous creature, and you just like protect that creature, white beat your opponent's face, and what's that creature? Medusiana, if you evolve it, it threatens to deal up to 10 damage per turn, or just, you know, annihilate every single creature your opponent has. That's kind of huge. And it's definitely a card that I would like to play around. Because for me, in Yu-Gi-Oh! There's actually, well, there's a similar card. This card is Vinamanaga, the deity of snakes. When I was like 10, I actually really enjoyed that card a lot, just because like the card itself was very, very difficult to summon. But if you got into play, it basically could never die, and it was an alternate win con, because if it got to hit your opponent 3 times, your opponent died. Like the ship just like lost the game. Like it was effectively card. It was actually just a really crazy card. So I actually never got to play with that card in like the physical like TCG. Like I believe I got to play with it online, but never physical. So this will be like a nice chance for me to get to like relive all of that like nostalgia. All right, so where was I? All right, so now I'm on to Haven. Okay, so this is Red Hot Boots. Red Hot Boots is a common. It's a 2 mana 3 countdown amulet, and fanfare, deal 3 damage to an enemy follower, and then last words, deal 1 damage to a random enemy follower. So I'm a little bit torn about this card because I'm not sure what to feel about it. So on the one hand, it's nice because it's an amulet, and obviously Haven loves amulets, and it immediately does 3 damage to a creature. However, it is not like a scripture, and it remains to be seen whether or not you're going to want scripture more, or whether or not you're going to want this card. Because obviously this card does have some payoffs in which, like, if you can somehow get the amulet to tick down faster, you can maybe be in a better spot versus aggro. Like, say, for example, with one of the next cards I'll be showing you, that one's also a countdown reducer. But for now, it's kind of nice because I like it because you can kind of do what Dragon and Sword as well as Shadow do right now, in which you can play 4 removal spells. You play 4 because you don't want to be fucked versus, say, Haven or Dragon, which don't really play creatures early, but you'll have enough so that way your mulligan has a much stronger chance of drawing a 2PP removal spell when you need it versus aggro, and that's really huge, and it's kind of understated. So I definitely think this card will see play to some degree, but whether or not it'll end up like, say, Iron Maiden, as in which that is like poorly done, it remains to be seen. So I'll definitely give it at least a 3 out of 5 for now, but it might be like a 2.5 out of 3, but who knows. Alright, so this is the next card, Sky Torrent. So this one is 3 mana, deal 1 damage to all enemy followers, and then subtract 1 from the countdown of all allied amulets. So I like this card a lot because this card is a Angelic Barrage, but with an upside. If you don't know what Angelic Barrage is literally this card, but it's neutral, but it doesn't have the bonus effect of subtract 1 from the countdown of all allied amulets. So this card is actually overstated, and that's good. That's good, but like that's where you want to be with class cards. The artwork is actually really insane. I actually really like the artwork for the card a lot. So if you saw with the boots, you'll see that boots is 2 mana and Star Torrent is 3 mana. So I'm thinking that it's gonna be a card they're gonna want to play on curve, but they're gonna want to have an amulet in play first, which is why they added boots, because boots is a nice amulet. So you can play boots, or you can play Beast Call Aria, then you can play Star Torrent, and then if you're doing this lets you pop one of those 2 cards on 4 mana on turn 4 instead of turn 5. And that's kind of big. That's actually a really, really big deal, just because being able to mop up the board way before turn 5 is actually kind of huge, just because like aggro looks to end the game on turns 5 to 7, and being able to kind of like interact with them before then is actually a very, very big deal. Additionally, for me, I think that this can kind of promote a sort of unitless Seraph. That's actually kind of huge, because this one is a countdown reducer. You can go ahead and you can take out the 3/2 countdown reducer creature, because that one, like, literally the only thing it did was that, oh, okay, it's a 3/2 that you don't want to play because you obviously want your countdown reducers for Seraph. But this one, you can afford to play it. Like, you can afford to play it, and you can afford to like mop up aggro with it. That's actually kind of nice, because it deals 1 damage to everything. But right now, like, we see bats in play, we're gonna see serpents in play, we're gonna see fairies in play, we're gonna see skeletons in play. So right now, like, this card deals with this card helps deal with like three of the 4 aggro decks. Oh, sorry, 3 of the 7 classes aggro decks in this game, and that's actually kind of huge. So I definitely think that this card will see some degree of play. I do not know if it's going to be a flop, or if it's going to turn out to be very, very good. We're still just, waiting to see like the rest of these amulets, but most likely we're going to see a few more amulets. So I'm looking forward to this. I might actually play Seraph this season as well. So definitely a solid 3 out of 5. Now for the next card, Andromeda. So Andromeda is a 2. Alright, so it's a 2 mana 2/2 that evolves into a 4/4. And its evolve, your other followers take 0 damage until the end of the turn. So this is basically the effect of Athena, except, tacked onto an evolve effect and then put on a much more reasonable creature. So if you don't know what Athena is, it's a 6 mana gold PP follower with literally the same effect as this, except it's a fanfare. And the issue with Athena was that, like, it costs too much to play. Like, it costs so much that literally when you can play it, if you already have a board, you've probably already won that game, and you'd rather that the Athena be like a Gilgamesh or something like that, so that we can just, kill your opponent. But this card it's actually really, really nice, because it lets you, as an aggro deck, beat up other aggro decks and still somehow retain board. That's actually kind of huge. Like, being able to not only dictate trades, but to automatically live through those trades for free, it's kind of ridiculous. It also lets you do certain things, like say when your opponent like makes a war to try to stymie your attempts at beating their face in. It lets you actually evolve and then trade in all of your dudes into that ward, and then not feel bad about it because the ward suddenly just like crumbles like it's dust, and you still have all of your creatures. That's ridiculous. So it'll definitely be an interesting card. At the very least, if worst comes to worst, you can literally just play it as a 2/2, and that'll be perfectly fine. You can just tell yourself, okay, well, I'm basically playing a soldier right now. And if you don't know what soldier is, it's a basic 2/2. It's a basic 2-drop 2/2 follower or whatever. Okay, and then lastly, onto the neutrals. So the first neutral, and this one had a lot of controversy about it, is Mr. Full Moon. So it's a 6 mana 3/3 fanfare, randomly changes the attack of one of the strongest enemy followers in play to 1. So basically, if you somehow just like didn't get it, this is basically a card that's made to counter the really difficult to kill creatures that either have some kind of like evasion clause in their text or just really obnoxious. So the biggest one obviously is, say, Aegis. However, other notable ones are, say, Beauty and the Beast, Hero of Antiquity, and then Bahamut. Yeah, and that's actually really cool. I also like it because it makes it now gives us an answer to all of the, in the future, randomly big creatures that have evasion clauses that are kind of hard to kill, and that's really nice. It's a good future proofing sort of tech card. So a lot of people are complaining about this card because it costs 6 mana, and it's only really good versus control. It's not good versus aggro, and that's fine. Like the issue with people is that they want their tech cards to be like all around good, and then like we have a tech card that's all around good. Suddenly it blurs the line between you playing the card for tech and you playing the card because literally there's nothing better than that card. A good example of this is a good example is say Unica was a 2 mana like 4/4 or something like that. Everyone will play the card, and it wouldn't even be because of the fact. It would literally just be because it's a 2 mana 4/4. Like, yeah. So I really like the overall design for this card. I think it's fine, and honestly, think people are just like kind of like complaining for no reason. Like if ever there's like a popular like Aegis deck or something like that, then this card becomes good. If there's not, that's still fine. Like this card will still be kind of playable. Like it's not good versus aggro, and that's okay. Like just because like you don't want your tech cards to somehow like over centralize and somehow be better than your non-deck than your non-tech like main deckable cards. That's not how tech cards work. Alright, the next card is Fallen Angel. What's this card? Fallen Angel Everutia. Alright, so this card is kind of cool. So for this card, if you don't know, this card was actually stealth nerfed, and I actually like that. It used to be a 2 mana 2/2. As a 2 mana 2/2, this card would literally be like insane in aggro. I say it's insane in aggro just because like there's literally no reason for you to like never run this card. Unless of course you're afraid of aggro, so that way you just like play Unica instead. So I do think this card is actually like really cool. The artwork's cool, the effect is cool. Because again, like the effect is simple, but that's fine because you're playing aggro. Like the majority of your effects are going to be simple because you want aggro decks to be like uncomplicated. So just deal 1 damage to enemy leader. That's fine. Basically, you played a 2/2. They got to like angelic snipe. The opponent's leader for free. So naturally, it makes sense when you think about it that this card would naturally be understated, just because if it didn't see a cost reduction, it would essentially be a 3 mana card that was worth 2 mana, and that's always it's always pretty good, just getting to cheat on mana. But again, I still think this card is fine. I do think a lot of people are kind of like over/underhyping it, respectively, because a lot of the arguments being made against this card is, oh, it dies to Goblin or whatever. That's fine. Like if it dies to Goblin, you just play your other 2-drop. That's perfectly fine. Like this is basically a more offensively statted Ambling Wraith, and that's perfectly fine. Like, I don't know. The next card is Hellblindy. So she's a 5 mana 5/5, no effect, and then it's enhanced for 7. At the end of your turn, deal 2 damage to a random enemy 2 times. So because it says random enemy and not enemy creature, that means that yes, this card can in fact go face. So being able to, you know, for 7 mana get a 5/5 that also gets to hit your opponent for 4. Well, that also gets to possibly hit your that also gets to possibly hit your opponent for 4 is pretty good. If it doesn't get to hit your opponent for 4, that means it hits his creature for 2 to 4. That's pretty good too. I don't know whether or not you'll want to play this card just because again, if you're not getting the enhanced effect, then you're just playing a 5/5. However, a 5/5 is very, very good because again, at 5 HP, it hits that 7/7 stat line. It hits that 7 HP stat line, which is where you want to be when you're playing your 5-drop. So this card's nice because it's the quote-unquote neutral answer to annoying 5-drops that exist in the game, such as say Sybil, Albert, Felice, etc. That's kind of nice. However, obviously, like if you're playing this card, you're gonna want to get that. Yeah, you're gonna want that effect. So it remains to be seen how good this card will be. Additionally, well, one of the good things about it is that like because the enhance will cost 7 mana, that makes it nice. That makes it a nice curve because currently it's usually for neutral deck and it's usually they do something clash related on. Alright, so on 5 they do something neutral related, and that they usually play Hector. Then on 6 they use something clash related, but on 7 there's kind of a gap between what you're doing. So this will kind of help fill that gap, as well as give you something to do on 5 if you don't have your Hector, and then it helps you transition into that Gilgamesh on 8. So it's not a bad card overall. Oh, it's also really good in Arena as well, just because it's like fairly statted and has like later game scaling, and that's where you want to be when you're playing playing in Arena. Alright, so the last card for this video will be, well, maybe the last card, not sure. Will be Zodiac Demon. So Zodiac Demon is the cover card for this expansion, and generally, as we've come to see with cover cards, usually they're actually very, very relevant in what they do. Like say for example, Olivia, well, maybe not Olivia, but Zeus, Bahamut, as well as Alice have all been super relevant at some point or another. Same thing with Olivia to some degree, but obviously nearly not as much. And I'm expecting the same thing with Zodiac Demon as well, particularly because Zodiac Demon, unlike those other two, has a very, very interesting. Unlike those other like 3 or 4 cards, has a very, very interesting effect. So it's a 7 mana 5/5 that evolves into a 7/7, and it's fanfare. Put a follower that originally cost 7 play points. So even if you cost reduce something, it still has to originally cost 7 play points or less from your hand into play, and then destroy it. It deals X damage to a random enemy follower. If there are no enemy followers in play, deal X damage to the enemy leader instead. X equals the attack of the destroyed allied follower. So this card is nice for a few different reasons. One, being able to, right. So sometimes you're gonna run into situations where you need additional face damage, and this card will let you get that for free. That's very, very good. However, additionally, you can use this card to go ahead and force through last word effects they would otherwise be wary about playing, just because it might come out too slow. So good last word effects at the moment, they currently only really exist in Shadow. However, there are like a few that would be nice to get, say for example Pyroxene Dragon in Dragon. Being able to go 7 mana, draw 2 cards is kind of cool. I don't know if this will also trigger fanfares or not. I feel like it won't, but actually no, I lied. I know it's not going to trigger fanfare. So yeah. So in the case of the Pyroxene Dragon, it would be 7 mana, discard a Pyroxene Dragon, draw 3 cards. That's kind of cool. I don't know if that's enough to make it see play, but it's definitely a cool interaction. The biggest interaction though that everyone's just really, really hyped for, and it's why you're seeing Dark Alice all over ladder right now, is because it can trigger Dark Alice. So it's basically a NEP for Dark Alice, in which you get to, for 7 mana, you get a 5/5 that summons a 5/5 that also triggers your deck and makes the entirety of your deck and your hand all neutrals. And also that 5/5 you summon is going to deal 5 damage to your opponent's creature before trades happen. If they don't have a creature, they're taking 5 to the face. That's actually really huge, because one of the things with these Dark Alice decks is that they also play Ariette. So right now you have not one, but you have 2 creatures on the board, and to possibly be able to Ariette next turn. So technically that is in fact threatening lethal. because so if they don't have anything on the board, you get to deal 5 to their face. If they can't clear the Zodiac Demon or the Alice, then next turn one of those creatures gets to attack. You already up that creature. That's 10 more damage. That's currently 15 plus the 5 is 20. That's actually kind of insane. Now, I don't think that will ever happen often, but I'm looking forward to watching either someone do that or for that to happen to someone on the stream. I'm going to die laughing because that's going to be funny. I do think that this card is actually very, very good. I don't know what else we'll see playing because at the moment, like I said, only really Shadow has like multiple like interactions of things you can do, of things you can like blow up. Like say for example, you can also blow up like Bone Chimeras, you can blow up Skull Cradle Widows, you can blow up Lurching Corpses. The Lurching Corpse one is actually kind of insane. Let's see, what else can you blow up? You can blow up Attendant of Knights, Liches, Immortal Thanes. Yeah, a lot of different cards you can blow up, and this is gonna be one of those cards that's always gonna be a very interesting card to think about when you're building a deck, particularly if you're building a deck that has like Last Word synergies. So I'll definitely give this card like say 4 out of 5, maybe 5 out of 5. Probably so probably just settle for either 4.5 or 5 out of 5 because it's a very, very nice team player card. Again, it remains to be seen how many good like Last Word effects we get for creatures, because at the moment currently only Dragon and Shadow really benefit from this card, because with Dragon you can also, I guess, if you wanted to, you could also technically blow up your Ayelas on 7 mana to go to 9 mana, which I guess is kind of cool, I guess. But yeah, but definitely an interesting card overall, and I do look forward to playing with this card. So I unfortunately don't actually have Dark Alices yet, so I'm definitely probably gonna have to craft those. Not looking forward to that because that is a lot of dust. But hey, you know, in the pursuit of fun, we do what we have to do. All right, so this is gonna cover all of the cards minus those 3 dragon cards, which again I said I was gonna have to talk about those all in separate videos because a lot of people think that those cards aren't gonna be played. I disagree to some extent. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like. Go ahead and hit that follow button, or sorry, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm sorry, I always say follow button because I'm just like thinking that I'm on like Twitch. But yeah, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't. If there are any cards you want to play, or there's any like thing you're like looking towards, or anything you're like excited about, or anything that you're like not excited about, or just hoping that it doesn't actually happen, go ahead and let me know down in the comments. I'm always happy to hear it, and I always reply to these as fast as possible. Yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.